making sure that each of these two has a proper place. Politics in its own is where the talents and the abilities to govern our people is being placed. Is a platform to make sure that we select the best to take the leadership both of our country, our immediate environment and community, up to down to the councillors. And so we should be able to be involved, and involved in such a way that we will give a proper guidance, and it should be raised together with our culture, our religion, so that we will not have this gap of synergy, of understanding, working together. So both the two, they are very, very essential because they play a daily life in our practices. So we have to really work with the two.
So what will you tell some non-state actors that are using this particular sacred aspect of our life to, manipulate Nigerians in terms of religion and politics?
It's quite wrong, even when it comes to either religion or politics. I think the perspective of humanity first should come into being. We should look at everybody as a human being. Even if it is not my own religion, is a human being. Even if it is not in my own party, my own ideology of politics, is a human being. And he has the right to live. He has a right for citizenship. He has a right for other things that human beings should be able to have. So you shouldn't use either your religion to the extreme of denying a human being like you the right of his own participation in development, in dividends of democracy and governance. No. The same thing, you shouldn't use your politics or your party participant to deny a human being who is created by God. All of us were created by God. And so, like I said earlier, I think the idea of human being ahead of both those two, whether religion or politics, I was first born as a human being before I get myself into religion and before I get myself into politics. And so that should be guided in our minds and our leaders.
All right, don't forget that the voice you're hearing is the voice of Reverend Yakubu Palm, the Executive Secretary, Nigerian Christian Pilgrim Commission, and we still have we are talking, and we want to get into the details, the responsibility by which you're saddled with. You're saddled with the responsibility of Christian pilgrimage, and we want to ask you, you've been in office for quite some time now. What has been the journey so far?
Well, to the glory of God, I've been in the office for about 3 years, and so far so good. The journey has been very, very successful. And when I say successful, that does not mean that there will have been no challenges. At each point we have challenges, we see God helping us. And we must appreciate both the synergy from the federal government and to the state governments that have been working with us in terms of taking the Christian pilgrims from Nigeria to the Holy Land, either in Israel, in Rome, in Jordan, and other parts of the world. It has been very, very successful.
All right. So when you talk about the challenges, can you just a little bit talk about it just so that we can understand?
Let me just say, especially for the recent challenge we had, we were on the Easter pilgrimage, which of course started from April, Easter period, down to around May, June, immediately after the taking over. And the dollar rate shoot very high. And people have already paid with the old dollar rate. And we already have about 1,000 pilgrims that are still on ground. But we are grateful to God. At that bus stop, we were thinking of what to do. the option was either to tell the remaining ones, take back your money, it cannot work, or bring the whatever is the package that is left to fill on to reach the normal amount of money for them to travel. But at a visit to the president, he was able to take a responsibility and shared responsibility with the pilgrims, which I think they will remain very grateful. That's one aspect that we were able to overcome. We have also been able to overcome the challenge of abscondment always. Usually is in hundreds that people run from the pilgrimage, but we're able to overcome. We're running into almost zero, exception of few challenges that we have with some individuals, but God has granted us victory over that. Some years back, you hear of people dying and in the course of pilgrimage, but throughout these 3 years, I think God has helped us. Issue of making sure that we have control over losses of bags of people and other things is completely gone. The highest of all is the respect we're given in our host communities, that is the community, the countries that host us there as pilgrims. They do not used to give us such respect. Now they respect us. Both Israel, both Jordan, they respect us. There's this bilateral understanding, bilateral respect that we have with each other. And that is what we pursue on, and that's what we continue to work on.
All right, don't forget that this is the voice you're hearing is the voice of Reverend Yakubu Palm, the Executive Secretary, Nigeria Christian Pilgrim Commission, NCPC, and he's also the chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, in 19 northern states. So we're still discussing further, and we want you to dwell more on the achievements so far, just a little bit to come down in a layman's understanding, because a lot of people were scared that this is a Muslim ticket, and then somehow, are you finding it easy in this administration so far?
Well, we want to thank God. Like I stated before, humanity first before religion. Full that we have succeeded in of it. If God wants us to have this at this moment, we can't question his authority. But what is very, very important is that we have come to accept the dream of the unity of this country, the progress of this country, and to advocate always for our leaders to treat us equally, make sure that we have the dividend of democracy to the grassroots, and also make sure that we have open doors from our leaders to advise at each time. From what we have seen from the President Bola Tinubu, it shows that yes, he is not somebody who is going to treat you based on your faith. I think he is treating Nigerians as Nigerians, and we are proud that he has come to clear that, and I believe that Christians will be happy to identify with their own president and vice president and the rest. However, we are still appealing in some quarters that we must do everything possible to see that Nigeria remain united, remain focused, and back our leaders. So at each time God give us leaders, of course, we will have this duty of praying for them. I also want to appreciate the Muslims. They have been doing very, very well. We have been living as cordial, and if there's not this synergy of understanding between Christians and Muslims, I think we will always have a local issue that will make the economy and will make the policy of government to be overstressed, and that will not be good, and it will bring insecurity, and the bad people will find a ground of where they can exploit to do certain evil in our country. Today we are suffering with bandits, we are suffering with kidnappers, we are suffering with Boko Haram, IPOP, and all the rest. These are issues that definitely they are not looking at any religion per se. They are out to destroy human beings who has blood, flesh, and bones. And so we must look at it holistically and help this country to move forward.
All right. One Nigerians will be asking, because you're actually the best person to ask these questions. Our listeners will be asking these questions wherever they are now. Like, what does it take for one to embark on a pilgrimage?
First and foremost, we have self-sponsored, that if you can sponsor yourself and know the package. Presently, the package is presently at 2.7. By December, it's going to go a little bit high, which may be up to about 3 million. So if you are able to raise that, the next thing is for you to get the form. The form is about 10,000. And if you're able to get the form, you'll be able to fill it. And so when you fill it, we do what we call screening. When they screen to you, this is where we're able to stop people who have the ill motive of abscondment and using pilgrimage. We stop them at that level. And secondly, this is another place that we stop people who are over age, they are old to travel. Otherwise, we have casualty of people dying in the exercise. And we must have people who are healthy too. If you are sick, we will not allow you to travel. And all of that is the screening that we do. And the person must also have a surety, meaning that even if we're unable to fish out your motive of running away, the person who guarantee you will be arrested if you eventually run away. So these are all the things that are put on ground. That is on the self-sponsored. We also have government-sponsored. In a state, when they are sponsoring people to Hajj, they also sponsored people to pilgrimage in Israel or in Jordan and the rest. So the government will tell us the number, the governors or the state will tell us, the State Pilgrims Welfare Board will tell us the number they want. If they want 200, they want 1,000, they want what, then we'll be able to have that. And we'll go to the state and do the screening and do all the processes. We also have people who sponsored their parents, their loved ones, is still there. We also have a government, federal government agency that sponsored their staff. They're still also part of it. And so we also have this exercise twice in a year. We have the general pilgrimage, which takes place anywhere from November to December, which is the largest one, and maybe end up in February, March, or if the number is too large, it end up in April. And we would now have immediately the Easter pilgrimage, which is a smaller pilgrimage, which takes place, which starts from April and then go on till maybe May, June, and probably July, if the number is much ends in July. Why we're still doing this one now is because of the challenge we got on ground. But the remaining 1,000 will finish very soon in October, and then we'll go on with the major one. Apart from that, we also have special executive pilgrimage, like the youth. We also have the elderly pilgrimage, and then we also have purely maybe government officers from the federal government that want to go for pilgrimage. And so these are special pilgrimages that we have.
All right, don't forget that is Reverend Yakubu Palm, the Executive Secretary, Nigeria Christian Pilgrim Commission, NCPC, and he's also the chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, in northern Nigeria, in 19 northern states. Now, recently, sir, you praised Senator Mrs. Remi Tinubu, the First Lady, for her gesture of giving 500 million to 50 families who suffered or who were victims of attack in Plateau State. What was your reason, sir?
Yeah, 500 million for 500 families. Knowing very well that part of my talent that I always enjoy in doing as I go out there is to walk in the field of peace. And that's why I agreed to be in this program, which is also and how communities in Nigeria will live together with one another. And I think that if we have leaders in the person of the First Lady who has displayed such a godly character as a child of God, it's good to commend them. You don't wait until a person have done something wrong and you begin to speak against the person. I think when leaders have done good, we should commend them so that it gives them encouragement. And particularly that is coming from an area that everybody is worried about. When I visited the president last, he was worried of the crisis in Plateau, and he mentioned Mangu local government, and he said he's very worried, and he was also encouraging me to still go ahead to do what I used to do when I was under the former President Buhari, going around to advocate for peace in some of these hostile areas. And Plateau was where I started, and it has been part of me to make sure to see that Plateau remain peaceful. And so when I heard she have done that, what a good thing. And also a son of the soil of Plateau, I feel I should add my voice to tell Her Excellency, honestly, she have done very, very well. She have done very, very well. And not only her, I think some distinguished Nigerians have also made out of their time to visit Plateau with what has happened. We're so grateful to them. The governor have done very well by expressing his gratitude to the First Lady, and I just felt that it's good to add my voice over there since I'm partly working here at the federal level.
All right, don't forget that this is Reverend Yakubu Palm. He is the Executive Secretary of Nigerian Christian Pilgrims Commission, and he is also the chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, in charge of 19 northern states. Now, we want to ask you, you visited the Muslim community of Fadan Kamantan in Zango, Qatar, local government for the love, care, and support they showed during the recent attack on the area. Sir, what are the takeaways?
Well, we are grateful, my dear brother. Like I said earlier, we are aware of the evil people who take advantage of situations to plant seed of discords in the hearts of a good neighborhood who are living together, especially that nobody do not know the background of Southern Kaduna, what has been happening there, the crisis. And it's a field I've gone there 3 years ago to make sure that I settled the dispute between the Fulanis and the residents over there. And we're happy that they are really living together, but then they have little challenges. But this time around, it was a targeted, calculated attempt to put the two religions into fight. Seeing that when the bandits went and set the house of the Reverend Father on a flame. Got burned completely. There was no single thing picked out of that place, and there were both of them, about 3 of them or 4 of them, were living in that house that very fateful day, and it was a miracle for the Reverend Father to get out. Unfortunately, 2 of his people died in the fire. But the good thing that happened in the mix of all this is that the first people who rescued him and also quenched the fire down were the neighborhood Muslims that are very close by. And these people that have done all of this, burning the house and the rest, were purely bandits. But you see, they had in their mind, by doing that, there's going to be a religious war. That the Christians will rise up and say, these are Muslims who have done this. But quickly, the Muslims quickly came in and assist and condemned it. And the Christian too spoke out immediately. Even the Reverend Father spoke out and said, this is not from our neighbors, the Muslims, so that nobody would take the laws into his hand and start fighting each other. So, and that's why I went in there quickly too, to commend the effort that has been made on ground and to appreciate the joint peace committee of Southern Kaduna that we put in there, who have been working since the 3 years that we had that peace parley in Southern Kaduna, who was one of the largest in that area.
All right, that's the voice of Reverend Yakubu Palm, the Executive Secretary, Nigeria Christian Pilgrims Commission, NCPC, and he is also the chairman, the Christian Association of Nigeria in 19 northern states. Now, before we throw our phone lines open, we want to still ask you this particular question. It is sad that the 500 million naira is now the one that Mrs. Remi Tinubu is now causing rancor in terms of the sharing and all that. Should that be the case?
Well, to me, I would say it is issue of, will I say it, social media and all the rest. I have not had it officially from the governor. As a senior citizen of Plateau State, I think the basic thing is not to talk on this kind of thing on a radio program, but to meet with the chief executive of the state to ask him, and then also to ask the people on ground to know if there's anything like that. Then I can be able to speak out my mind on it. However, let me say, if there's anything like that, then it's going to be unfortunate. That is not good, because any donation given to people who are victims of crisis like that, to me, in my own dialect, we call it like blood money. It's completely given for people who have passed through life and death, and it should be honored. It should not be politicized. It should be meant for those people and should be religiously, if possible, followed. Not even if I see a list of any person, a name of any person that may mistakenly put inside, and that person is not a victim, I think I should be able to raise an alarm and remove it immediately. So, however, like I said, it's important for somebody like me in my position to act, not to speak in public without knowing the facts, whether it is like that. And sometimes social media can be very funny. They develop stories without truth. And politics is gone into so many things today without knowing the seriousity of issues that we need and the limits of things we need, not to take politics into them.
All right. Don't forget that it's still Reverend Yakubu Palm, the Executive Secretary of Nigerian Christian Pilgrims Commission. Now, before we want to go on a short break, but let's just lay this particular question out so that when we come back, you start doing justice to it. And that's sometimes ago, you met with Malam Nuhu Ribadu, the National Security Advisor. Since your meeting, how would you describe the security situation in the country? But you're going to answer us this question when we return from this short break. Don't forget that is still the Peacemaker on 93.7 FM, Citizen FM, right here in the city center. Let's take this particular song from Onyeka Owenu. She called this one Peace. We'll return shortly. All right, that's a very lovely song from Onyeka Owenu, the vintage Onyeka Owenu. This is what actually heralds the topic of today and the name of the program as well. And the name of the program is actually The Peacemaker. And we have a very wonderful personality, that people that champions this peace movement of Nigeria, the reason why we need peace in the country, and the reason why that we should embrace peace as a people as well, the reason why we should love ourselves, of course. Peace is a byproduct of love. Because when you love people, you definitely maintain peace with them. You wouldn't want anything that will cause chaos. So that's the reason why we brought this experienced hand to be able to talk as regards to some of the things that some national, and then some of the things that concerns the office that is holding. And right now, we'll go to my question before we went on that short break. And I asked you some time ago, you met with Malam Ribadu, the National Security Advisor. Since your meeting, how would you describe the security situation in the country?
Thank you very much, my brother. Like I said earlier, I think Mr. President is very concerned about the situation of insecurity in our country. As the last visitor I met with him, he spoke very well about the whole thing, and I think it was him that made me to meet with Ribadu to discuss a lot. And as you know, that right now Ribadu is very engaged in some of those things that will bring out solutions. And some of us who are also joining, we're doing a lot to see that we can be a helping hand in one way or the other. And as we also know that this is a young administration, the president is still sitting down to look at all options on the table. And definitely the aspect that needs more intelligence handling is this kidnapping and banditry. Of course, these are aspects that intelligence so much deep has to be involved. But part of them, I would say, between 40 to 50% of that is all about economy. Like I said earlier, that there are some people who are enjoying this bad habit, bad exercise of banditry. They are looting money and taking it to them. They are also citizens of this country, and we are not happy to see that some people are behind us all of this. Somebody is sitting at home and they are kidnapping people and they are calling ransom, and they go and pay and they bring the money to you. And I don't know how such people will sleep in the night. Of course, the only way out is for our intelligent body to wake up and to do what they are looking for. Secondly, there are issues pile up on ground between the headers and the farmers. And these are issues that has been there for a long time. And definitely we have to keep it by going to the records and knowing what exactly to do, and also to keep people engaged in talking. Because the more there's no talking, everybody want to win all, and that may not be the best. And beyond that, there have been this communal crisis on borders of land in different places. And we also have the terrorist group that are there to, like Boko Haram and all the rest. These are issues that I think the president met them on ground, and they are still there. Some of them are still there, but they're going gradually. And I believe in the fewer days, in the fewer months, and the rest, there will be a holistic approach. He has started some of these approaches, and let's watch and see how it will be.
All right. Don't forget that the voice you're hearing is the voice of the Executive Secretary of Nigerian Christian Pilgrims Commission. Is Reverend Yakubu Palm. Now we want to bring you back to your office, the office you're holding. We just recently, you earlier in the year. You promised that the NCPC would unfold a scheme that would enable intending pilgrims to save money and sponsor themselves, saying that the commission would ensure that the church takes over the sponsorship of Christian pilgrimage. How far has it gone, sir?
Yes, first and foremost, we've written to President to notify him and seek his approval, and we are waiting for the reply. Secondly, we have made meeting with the leadership of the Christian Association of Nigeria at the national level to discuss, and they are also, once we get the approval from Mr. President, we will call for a meeting, a larger meeting, to discuss the issues of opening a saving scheme whereby Christians, Nigerians will begin to save. Whether you have 50,000, you have 10,000, you will save until when it becomes, if people are saving like that, it helps them to have the dream to travel.
Just saving weekly, monthly?
Monthly, weekly, and it could take a year or more. And then you, at the end of the day, you hear that you are traveling. And so that is what we are doing for now. And like I said, those are the two steps we have taken so far. By the special grace of God, once we receive a response from Mr. President on the letter, we'll call for a stakeholders meeting in the body of Christ to discuss it further. I'm glad that is what the Hajj Commission have gone far in it. They're doing it, and is yielding fruits. And we're not competing because the Hajj Commission, but usually before you display any part of the act that has to do with money and people and the rest, the president has to approve, and then we have to put a memo of how it will be functioned. So all of that is still package of what we're putting on ground.
All right. Now, in case you are part of those people that are asking that question, the Executive Secretary have been able to give you some answers. Now, this question is how challenging has it been for the Commission to detect Nigerians who want to use the opportunity of the pilgrimage to engage in illegal activities outside the country?
Yeah, that has been a very, very big challenging aspect of the pilgrimage exercise because, like I said, I remember some years back, it was almost like half a state ran away in the exercise. They couldn't get them, but that was many years ago. And so many individuals, it becomes like a business. And first and foremost, we should be satisfied with their own job, day-to-day job. Secondly, to take the message very strongly to the State Pilgrims Welfare Board, because sometimes they are also being tempted to be used. Those people, you can hear that somebody is an indigene of, I'm sorry to use different state, maybe Oyo, Abia, or Plateau, let me use my own. And then he'll go and buy the form of Benue State and to travel through Benue. So it looks suspicious. Why didn't you buy the form in Plateau? Why go into Benue? So it looks suspicious. So we've also told the State Pilgrim Welfare Board that if anybody run under them, they will be suspended from traveling for a year or more. And that,
so what if the person lives there?
If the person lives there, then we'll identify.
Okay.
But if you don't live there, you don't have any right to do that.
Okay.
Even if you live there, there must be ways to make sure that those things are done transparently, so that we'll be able to know that you have a surety either from there or from your own states. These are very quiet, so it's not an easy task at all. But like I said, we block the holes, the loopholes of corruption, and make sure that people are just being able to do their work and go back home and be satisfied with what they have. That's the first aspect. The second aspect is